So the shapes of metal really are the inspiration of most of my series. Hi, my name is Kelly O'Neill and I'm a 3D mixed media artist. So when I'm treasure hunting at the salvage yard, I will find some metal that will just inspire me in some way. And usually that metal will inspire 3 to 4 different pieces within a series. And so it's either the shape, or it's the color, or it's the size of the metal, or maybe the metal itself might inspire something else. But that's really what starts a series with me, is a piece of metal that's inspirational. This piece is one of the very first pieces I made. It's mostly made of spoons. When I first started welding, I got all my metal from a reuse center in Ann Arbor. And although I liked working with household objects, I found that I really couldn't be as creative as I wanted to be. And so I moved quickly from spoons and light fixtures and garbage disposal pieces to raw metal that I get at the salvage yard. A lot of my work I have here at my house, and a lot of them are finished in powder coating. Some of them are oxide out of the natural patina of rust. A lot of the pieces that I have in my yard are some of the very first pieces I ever made, and some of them are quite large and difficult to sell, and others are just my favorite that I will never sell because there's emotional connection with that piece. Although I have to admit, I have one of those yards that I think people drive by and take a double look, because not that I have too much art, but I do have a lot of art in my yard. My dad made me this whale that I have hanging in my house, and it's a beautiful piece of artwork. He rakued it, which is a Japanese firing process that is very difficult to do, especially on large pieces, and it turned out perfectly. It's hanging in my house today, and so I get to enjoy that every day. So my father was a Renaissance man. Since I can remember, oil painting, photography, candle making, and he eventually settled on clay, ceramics. He was a wonderful potter, and he did that for over 20 years. And for years, I talked about making stands or holders for his vessels, because I wanted to elevate them and celebrate them, give him a little more credibility, as well as differentiate his work from other potters. And we talked and talked and talked about it. And of course, I'm raising a family at the time. And then he was diagnosed with lung cancer. And so I said, well, time to stop talking, time to start doing. So I took a welding course at Washtenaw Community College. And unfortunately, he passed away before we actually had a chance to work together. But he was a prolific potter. So when he passed, he had tons of work that was still unfinished. So I promised my mom that I would finish his work. So I spent many Saturdays in his studio, glazing, firing, rakuing, and so forth. And my mom said that she really felt his presence when I was there. And it was a wonderful way to celebrate his life and to really remember him. And she came up with the idea that I should follow in his footsteps and suggested that I do an art fair. And my dad was an art fair artist, so he would do like Art on the Grand and Funky Ferndale and so forth. So she contacted the Art on the Grand team and had told them that my dad had passed away, and they loved my dad, so they were completely open for me coming into the art fair, late by the way, and selling my dad's work alongside my work with the stands that I had made for his pottery. And it was such a wonderful experience that that's kind of where my journey began. This piece here, my dad and I worked together on it. This is Raku, and it's a combination of slab rolling, and then we used some crushed up clay in here, and then I highlighted that with just some copper paint. And then we found a piece of driftwood that I hand painted to kind of match the patina of the Raku, and then we wired it with copper. This piece is probably 25 years old, so it's older, probably the oldest piece I have. But we worked together on this. Gosh, I had been in my 20s, And I guess, yeah, like I said, he inspires me every day. And when I look at this piece, it just reminds me of him and how special he was. So the supermoon piece that I made from my dad's drum was the inspiration for the Celestial Exploration art exhibit that's currently at the Farmington Hills City Hall. And it was that piece that inspired the idea of the stars, the moons, the galaxies, and it really, it was the conscientious effort that I made, and it was easy to follow that particular stream of consciousness because it was inspired by something that was so important to me. So this here is the centerpiece. So what I'll do is I'll straighten this out, and then I will punch additional holes in here just to add a little more visual interest. And then I will use these pieces here, and I'll weld these to the side, and I will punch a hole here, and then I'll apply stainless steel wings on both sides. And the juxtaposition between the clean stainless steel wings and the corroded, rusted center, to me is I called it my soldier, or my army of angels, because this is the protective vest that they wear, and this is what takes the hit. I have a studio here at home where I do all my ceramics and clay work and a lot of my sketching and drawing and inspiration, and it's where I store a lot of my metal and so forth. You'll find me just staring at these shelves behind me, trying to figure out what I want to make. I hope someday to get a MIG welder here so I could do some light welding. But I really do most of my work at makers shops, and those are usually co-ops where artists will come from different disciplines, and the owner of the co-op supplies all of the equipment. So for example, as a metal artist, I would probably have to have $50,000 to $70,000 worth of equipment to do what I do today, from shearers and drill presses and horizontal saws, vertical saws, rollers, MIG welders, right? The equipment is quite expensive, especially since I deal in a lot of heavy duty metals. So I have been very fortunate to have maker shops or other places to go. Starting with Schoolcraft Community College. They have a wonderful metal sculpture program there. The director of the college, Coley McLean, is a strong supporter of the arts, and I think she's an artist herself. And I am a continued education student, so I'm able to take the course over and over again each semester. And of course, the adjunct professor there, Melissa Mashney, is wonderful. She's great at challenging me to make sure I'm always pushing my art. She's always making sure that I understand where the intuition is coming from an emotional or life experience point of view. And I think that's important in helping me become a better artist. Probably the best thing is working alongside other artists. They are an inspiration in their own way. It's amazing to see their magic happen. You know, sometimes you get a little jealous, like, ooh, I like what you're doing, I want to do that. Or where'd you get that piece of metal? Ah, that's a great piece of metal. But overall, it's inspirational, and we do feed off of each other. And I think all of our work is elevated because of the camaraderie that we have working alongside each other. To me, art is a verb in the sense that I'm creating art, I'm arting, and it's the process of building something is where I find my joy. The more I work with metal, the more I believe it's a very pliable resource, that it's moldable, and it's not hard. It's porous, it's bendable, I mean, with grinding you can sculpt it. And so even though it's perceived metal in our world as being a hard substance, to me it's not. It's a pliable medium in which I can mold and create something that I see in my mind's eye. So I volunteer with an organization called Mint Artist Guild, and it's a wonderful organization that helps teens, young students in Detroit who have a proclivity of art in some cases, whether it's a painter or a jeweler. And what this organization does is try to give them life skills and art skills so that they could pursue a profession in the art as an artist. And whether it's a workshop or it's an opportunity to sell their work at an art fair, it's about life experience as being an artist. And I get a lot of gratification out of helping young teenagers who are just starting their art career. My piece is made from recycled metal. It's titled Cocoon. It depicts my opening up after I retired from General Motors and discovering my artist side of myself. So it has a natural patina of rust on the outside, and inside is a beautiful powder coat of aquamarine, which represents kind of my new birth, or as I call my life 2.0. I was very fortunate to be part of the art call for the Farmington Hills Cultural Arts Division art call that they had earlier this year. And I was asked to put a piece in the exhibit. And we had an opening reception for the artists and their friends and family. And I was also fortunate to win the People's Choice Award. The Cultural Arts Division, Rachel and Carla are top-notch people. It was a joy to work with them. They're professionals. You can tell that they absolutely love what they're doing. They are living their best lives. And if I could do it all over again, I think I would have followed an artistic career earlier, because I'm finding so much joy and I am enjoying other people's joy too. And I could tell you that division and those ladies do a fantastic job. One of my philosophies is I always say yes, and then I'll figure out how to do it. And that has bode me well so far. I've been pretty lucky in what has come my way in the last year as being a full-time artist. So when you ask me what's coming up next, I don't know, but I'm going to say yes to it.